Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Tyranny, a weekly show about authoritarianism, government overreach, and global injustice, where we speak up with no fear of the consequences. And I'd like to let you know that if tyranny is not at your doorstep, that's because there's someone in the street keeping it at bay. And you can find this episode along with the others as they roll in at thefreedomcurrent.com. Let's get right into it. Our tyranny of the week begins with Twitter. There has been a lot of noise about the journalist that Elon Musk has banned for allegedly posting his real time location. Now, I'm not getting into the Elon bashing because that is not where the tyranny lies with Twitter, in my view. The tyranny right here with Twitter is the blue checkmark program being relaunched. Twitter Blue, where you will pay $8 or $11 a month if you're on iOS for the blue checkmark that verifies you. And with that, you get the option to edit your tweet, to upload high quality video. I'm sure there will be more exclusive functions added to it as people pay for it, right? These are right now it's just to edit the tweet and to upload high quality video, but over time I'm sure that more important functions will be only for the subscription the subscribed users. Now, a gold check mark is reserved for businesses and corporate. Then there's a gray check mark for government entities, and just a blue check mark for the good slaves. So they are relaunching that program now. Uh, Elon Musk, I've said that he claims to be a free speech absolutist, and it's very oxymoronic and paradoxical for free speech to be paid for. I guess free means it has a price tag, right? So this is just a free speech tax. Very, very ironic. Now, this is also making a public utility subscription based, which is another big problem, and this is tyranny creeping forward. And I was thinking about addressing uh, the claim that because it's his company, it's a private company, right, that Elon Musk is the owner of, then he can do whatever he wants. And I wanted to address the private company fallacy, but that may be a video later on truthandlaw.com. But what I find more egregious than just the idea that you have to pay to speak up and have an opinion and uh, have that be, pay to play, is the idea that you need to have approval of somebody else for you to speak. That idea of somebody else being the arbiter, right? And they will decide what your opinion is worth. Like an ideological caste system. That is very egregious and disgusting, and it deserves spot number one on This Week in Tyranny. And of course, the counter argument for this are the fake accounts, right? The fake accounts that Elon Musk has said are the reasons behind this paywall. The fake bot accounts, and 10 people could claim to be a particular person, and if it is subscription based, and obviously that will eliminate the bots because it would not be financially feasible for those fake accounts to operate. But that's another illogical argument, because that is not how you do in the real world, in the real digital town square. How that issue would get resolved is the same way it gets resolved in the real world. When you go to the store, you know which store to go to or how not to get scammed on the street, because you just go and check. You check the name, you verify, you know where the place, and this is a non-issue, the issue of fake accounts. Let's go on to Peru. 20 people have been killed by military in anti-government protests. In Peru, the situation is that the former president has been impeached, voted out of office, and a new president has taken over. Dina Boluarte is the new recognized president. But on December 7th, Pedro Castillo, the former president, attempted to dissolve Congress and institute a curfew and take over. And he is now saying that he will not give up the fight. He will not leave office because he will perform his high and sacred functions. And to Pedro Castillo, he doesn't have any high and sacred functions. Just like the other rulers of the world, he has the functions of enslaving his own people and lying to them and taking their resources, right? So the power struggle in Peru, though, it could happen here. There was an attempt to seize power, talk about stolen elections, talk about this election was legitimate, this is not legitimate. This can happen right here. This is closer than people think. And isn't it funny that nobody suspends the law or calls in the military when it comes to protecting your rights? They only call in the military to stay in power and protect themselves, right? It's just disgusting that people are dying in the streets supporting a president like a religious figure, like a cult figure, and they're actually standing up and fighting, and the people with so much the spirit to actually be willing to die in the streets, but for what? For just an enslaver they like. And just want to point out that if a government or a law can be dissolved, then it wasn't legitimate in the first place. And that's why the only ruler in this world is natural law, the force that governs human behavior. That is the law and the ruler here. And what my work is all about is that none of these fake rulers have any legitimacy, and they should not be recognized. Just like those stolen elections, they say should not be recognized. So let's not lose focus. But I talked last week about Iran and China, and just to follow up, let's begin with Iran. Another execution was conducted in the following protests of the death of Masa Amini, and the protests continue, and more executions are in the works. And now it was Majidreza Ranavar, the 23-year-old man, after he killed two members of the Iran's paramilitary force. He killed them for brutalizing and abusing his people in the streets. So he stood up, and that is the action he took. And of course he was charged with waging war against God, and they actually hung him off of a crane in public to make an example. And they're playing with fire over there. That old guard of enslavers, those that are religious fundamentalists over there in Iran, they're playing with fire, because that's why they're facing the harshest protesters in the streets, because you could see, you hung somebody off a crane, you're playing with fire. You're going to arouse that spirit of freedom in the young people and the older people who would usually be more brainwashed. But over here, back at home, our enslavers have more tact. So that just points to the difference between the old school and new school enslavers. They're just not as effective over there. But very good that the people are showing that fighting spirit, because that's the only way to stop this injustice, and that's the only way for them to move forward. And it's great that the people are seeing that a dictator is not synonymous with God and culture, right? The ruler of Iran, it claims to be on the same side and aligned with the Quran and Allah, but he is not that. And the people are seeing it. They're chanting death to the dictator. Good. And it's great that they're seeing that it doesn't mean they're a bad Muslim, because they are standing up. They are doing what should be done. They are in a righteous war. You might call it the real jihad. That is what they are engaged in, and I support them against the tyranny in their country. But at the same time, there's been a lot of anti-Iran coverage in the media. Just like with Russia, it is very popular to speak up against that kind of tyranny. And I see the European Union have made statements condemning the Iran government's behavior. But I'd just like to point out that when it happens here in the United States or in Poland or wherever you're hearing this, that media, that mainstream opinion is going to be on the side of the enslavers. So we should always be vigilant of that, because it'll change in a second. Another similarity: he killed two members of the paramilitary. We're talking about the man that was executed and hung. Two members of the military. This would be like in the United States, two members of the National Guard. That's what it would look like if it did happen here. He didn't kill somebody, some kind of force with no legitimacy over there. That's like the state force. So that's another thing we need to be vigilant of, is that it's always going to appear different when it happens here. And this would be like if Trump, when he lost the election, refused to leave office. It would be a very similar situation where there would be people in the streets that think they're protesting for freedom, but they would really be willing to die in that street fighting with the National Guard or the police or the military, whoever it would be, for the government of insert name here, Donald Trump, or if Joe Biden or somebody else were to do that. So that is the only difference is Iran's government is not as effective in building public support as the United States government, right? The brainwashing here is much better, and that is the difference. That is what we need to stay sharp to. And follow up on China, there have been rising fears, computer models that are showing that more than 1 million people are going to die because the zero COVID policies have been taken back and reeled in. The people have, of course, I talked about it last week, won a victory in pushing back those tyrannical restrictions. And now public opinion is shifting the other way, as if to say, maybe those people that fought for their freedom that everybody thanked them for, they're no longer heroes now. Now they're scaring them with the deaths. And of course people are getting sick, because if you had those restrictions and nobody went outside in 2 years, then clearly, even from the lower level of activity itself, there's going to be more illness now. Of course, an adjustment period with the immune system. And this was very well played by the Chinese government, because now what's going to happen is you're going to have the parents of this generation, the older people, they're going to see this. They're going to see the fear being stoked and cooked up. 1 million dead. When they're going to get sick, they're going to blame automatically those people, and they themselves are going to call for a crackdown, and they're going to welcome the enslavement when it comes back twice as strong. So it's just an example of tyrants playing chess. The tyrants are getting smarter, they're getting better, but that does not mean that resistance is futile. Resistance is existence. Thank you very much, and good luck, and I'll be back next week with another week in tyranny. Thank you.